Starbird Commission on Disability Issues meeting. We're going to get started. First, I would like to do roll call, and we can start to my left with Larry Keeler, and then go all the way around.
I'm Larry Keeler, Commissioner.
I'm Debbie Poster, Commissioner.
Matthew Solomon, Commissioner.
Elizabeth Nelson, City Council Liaison.
Kristen Harrison, Commissioner.
I am Zach Damon. I'm the Chairman of the Commission on Disability Issues.
I'm Sally Hart Peterson. I'm the Vice Chair of the Commission on Disability Issues.
Christiana Allen Pipkin, Commissioner.
Kathleen Mossack-Betts, Commissioner.
Rachel Hawkins, Commissioner.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. We do appreciate it. Next, we will move forward to approval of today's agenda. If you all can take a few moments to take a look at the agenda, that would be great. If you do not have a copy of the agenda at this time and would like one, please let me know, and you can be provided a copy of today's agenda.
Zach, I'm sorry to interrupt, but my hand's been up here.
Larry, go ahead.
There's some horrible feedback coming from this speaker back here, and it's gonna distract me a whole lot.
Yes, can we talk to CTN in the booth here? Can we have the monitors behind us muted, please?
That would be very much appreciated.
And here comes Tim.
Hey, Tim. Let's go.
Tim Hall is here.
Okay. And Tim, welcome. Tim, if you could just introduce yourself, please.
Tim Hall, Commissioner.
Thank you. And Tim, do you need a copy of the agenda as well as the meeting minutes?
Yes,
All righty.
there's an echo.
I just mentioned it.
Yep, we're working on that right now. All right.
Is there an extra agenda, Zach?
Yep. Here we are.
Oh, no, that's agenda or minutes.
Here's the meeting minutes and an agenda. Okay. All right. So while they're working on that, we're going to continue to move forward so that we can stay on schedule here. So everyone has had an opportunity to review the agenda for today. So is there a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, Larry moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, you'll second. Great. So the agenda for today is approved. Next is the approval of the June 19th meeting minutes. So if you would like a copy of the meeting minutes from June 19th, please let me know and you'll be provided one. I'd like to give a few minutes today to review those minutes, and if there are any mistakes, spelling errors, and or anything that was missed, please let me know at this time.
Just for the record, I believe that the Newbacher Award on page 3 is misspelled.
Okay. All right. Any others? All right. So there was a misspelling on page 3 for the Newbacher Award. With that being noted, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from June 19th?
I'll move to approve.
All right, Larry moves to approve.
A second.
All right, Sally seconds. Those meeting minutes are approved. Now, we're going to move on to presentations for today's meeting. And I first of all want to thank them for joining us. But the first presentation that we're going to have today is going to be John Fournier, the Assistant Administrator, and of course Jackie, the City Clerk, regarding the City ADA assessments. Welcome to you both, and thank you very much.
Thank you for having us here. My name is John Fournier. I'm the Assistant City Administrator and also the Interim Director of Human Resources. Some months ago, sorry, go.
Oh, hi, I'm Jackie Boudry, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the city clerk.
Some months ago, we were contacted by some members of the commission with some questions about how the ADA's, the city's policies work in relation to the federal Americans with Disabilities Act. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how our policies and procedures work in that respect. We have two city policies that really come to bear on this. The first one relates to the application of the ADA when it comes to hiring practices in the city, and really applies exclusively to the HR department, making sure that we're hiring people in fair and transparent ways. The questioning that we received specifically was about how our ADA coordinator processes work. Jackie Boudry is the designated ADA coordinator for the city of Ann Arbor. And in that role, what that means is that she intakes complaints from the public about potential ADA issues in the city, specifically the municipal government, the city administration. And what our city policies require is that the clerk take in those complaints, essentially assess which part of the city government those complaints deal with, and she assigns those out to our service area administrators. So if the complaint is about some part of our operation with Public Works, it would go to our Public Services Service Area Administrator. If it's about something with our planning and zoning, or one of our parks facilities or something like that, it would be assigned to our Community Services Area Administrator. From there, the Service Area Administrator and our city attorney conduct an investigation, reach a finding of fact. If the city has to take corrective action, we take corrective action, and the clerk's office communicates that information back out to the original complainant. In the course of reviewing how these policies work, it became apparent to us, though, that we have some missing functionality here. One of the service areas, one of the units that reports up to me is our safety unit. And that unit is responsible for inspecting city facilities, working with city operations to make sure that our facilities are safe, make sure that our employees are carrying out their work in a safe way. And they do a really great job. They proactively inspect and work with our units on a rolling basis. And so I approached Doug Forsyth as our safety manager. I approached him this summer about training him up on ADA compliance and incorporating ADA inspections proactively with the work that he does throughout the city. And so we're working on building that functionality up right now, so that when we have issues with our facilities, they're not just waiting there for somebody to complain or for a staff member to notice, that our safety office is in these buildings regularly, doing those inspections and reporting back to us so that we can correct those issues. And so that's kind of the anatomy of the ADA activity within the city. Jackie went through and looked over some of the history of complaints that we have. She's prepared to talk on that or answer questions. We're both prepared to answer any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you. I'd like to open it up to any commissioners that have any questions for both Jackie and John. Sally?
Yeah, so the protocols the commission has used when we also collect feedback about safety issues, infrastructure issues throughout the city. And the Partners in Access Committee has traditionally gone directly to Craig Hupy.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if now we should be going to Jackie with that information, because sometimes, again, the Disability Commission not having the imprimatur that Jackie would have, if Jackie brought it to him, it might make it a higher priority, perhaps?
So I think it was definitely appropriate for the commission to report those issues to Craig Hupy
Okay.
in the past. However, since I started with the city, our fleet facilities and airport unit actually reports to me now. And so they no longer report under Craig Hupy. It's appropriate to continue to report those issues to Craig Hupy. You can
Okay.
also report them to me as a CC.
Okay.
A lot of the budgeting, capital budgeting for that kind of work still goes through Craig Hupy's unit. We work together on those issues, but I think that would be appropriate.
I was just gonna clarify, so I take in grievances from the public.
Yeah.
I mean, if something
As do we,
internally
so.
came to me, I would certainly pass it on to the right people, but particularly, the clerk's office is, the complaints we get are, or grievances from members of the public related to ADA issues that the city has control over.
Got it, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
So if you're tracking complaints, like, the history of complaints, like, what does that look like? And, I guess, what does that look like in terms of numbers? And I guess my other question was, the process you described, I didn't grab a pen in time, but you talked about an investigation, and I heard you say that the city attorney participates in that. Are there any records kept of those, like, sort of explorations of, like, you know, what was the situation and how did we resolve it? Do we have records of those things?
Yes, we have a official grievance form that is filled out. We get maybe 1 or 2 a year. It's not a lot.
Okay.
So as John said, I would assign it, is it public services, community services, you know, the clerk's office, where we do get them sometimes for housing, from residents of public housing. So the affected department would investigate and respond, and then I'd prepare a response to the complainant, and the assistant city attorney reviews that. And we do have copies of all of them.
Okay. And I guess I have a question for Mr. Fournier. You said that is it Doug Forsyth is our safety, okay. So if a lot of the complaints are around housing and, if Doug Forsyth is inspecting, what is he inspecting?
So he inspects facilities owned by the city for safety of our workers.
Okay.
So if you're, like, complaints that are related to privately owned housing, or what type of complaints
No,
are?
I had a conversation with Mr. Lazarus about accessibility issues and compliance with the ADA for private public facilities, like, you know, a restaurant in town. And I guess I just have a lot of questions about our understanding of the ADA and how just generally we are in compliance with it, not the city specifically, but identifying maybe public places that are not in compliance, if we have any role to play locally.
So in my conversations with the city attorney's office, the answer to that question is that officially we don't. Complaints for privately owned properties or private businesses that they may be in violation of the ADA, my understanding is that those complaints have to be lodged with the Department of Justice, and that the city government,
Federal law.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So I have a follow-up question, and in the interest of full disclosure, I should say that I brought forward an issue to this office, within the last 2 years. And I don't want to get into the particulars of that particular discussion, although I'd be very grateful if you could see what paper trail exists in your office, because my many phone calls to the city yielded very little. I believe I eventually got connected with Ms. Beaudry, but I was not aware that I could file a complaint. I was not aware of a grievance procedure. I was not aware that I could take these issues up with the Department of Justice. So I don't know what the statute of limitations is on these issues, but I felt that whatever happened in the city, there wasn't a real robust ADA coordination process taking place. It's invisible on the website as far as I can tell. Staff does not know who is responsible. And, in actually tracking down those individuals who are assigned tertiary or at best secondary responsibility for this, the response was anything but robust. And that's an issue I think that I'd like to take up personally in my own case, but also more globally for the citizens of Ann Arbor, that there be a real commitment to this. And it's wonderful that you're here. We're grateful for your presence, but I think we can do better in the city of Ann Arbor, and I think we need a much more robust ADA process that is not just about construction compliance, that is about the entire global set of issues that the ADA protects. And at the present time, I just don't feel like the resources are there, neither the human resources or the web resources or the infrastructure. And so as a citizen, I want to make that clear that that is an area for great improvement.
Okay, I appreciate that feedback. I'd be happy to discuss that with you more if you'd like.
I would like that.
Certainly.
Are there any more questions in terms of what the responsibilities are, what the roles are, the way to contact Jackie as the ADA coordinator or John in this process at this time?
Well, I had a quick question. I know that there was the question earlier about whether or not there's essentially a paper trail, and I think you started to speak to it in terms of there being a log of the grievances that are initially set with the city, but is there an actual paper trail of the process and the end result of those grievances that were initially brought to the city?
Yes, you're asking if we have a record of which grievances were filed?
And what the result of those grievances were,
Yes.
what actions were taken?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We do.
So I had one follow-up question, which was just about, conflict of interest issues. What if we have an ADA issue that relates directly to city officials, city government, city facilities? How can we assure our citizens that there is an independent body that is charged with really investigating these issues thoroughly and pursuing the most appropriate response? It concerns me that all of the procedures seem to be completely internal to this building, City of Ann Arbor government. What steps have been taken to create some kind of independent oversight that would attend to issues that relate directly to how the City of Ann Arbor, its employees, and its officials are responding to ADA-related issues?
Well, I think there are a couple things. First of all, the existence of this commission, having public meetings where people can come and air grievances publicly is an important part of the democratic process, an important part of the oversight process, and it's very effective. So I think that's number one. Number two, our city attorney's office is well-heeled in these kind of matters. They work independently on a number of issues spanning all across city government and making sure that there is an integrity to our processes and making sure that when issues that come up that, could be legally problematic for the community or for citizens or for, the city or for whoever, that they oftentimes bring outside counsel and outside investigators in to look at issues. So, I do feel that the processes we have are robust to protect the integrity of these types of complaints and complaints of any number of a variety from across the city.
I'd very much like to follow up with you on this issue. Thank you.
Certainly, absolutely.
I have a question just as an example of protocol, because I recall a couple of years ago, this commission sent, I think it was 2 years ago, a letter in support of the Allen Creek berm construction, if I'm naming the berm correctly, to get funding to create the berm. But then the question is, how does the ADA compliance, who measures the ADA compliance with that? And at the time, I had a conversation with Eli Cooper in transportation about coordinating with the CIL, that the CIL has the expertise in compliance, and they would independently come in and make a judgment call about what was ADA compliant about the city building the term. Is that an example of what you're asking about in terms of independent?
It's one
Judgment?
example, but there are sort of a number of other examples I could cite in which, let's say, even the city attorney's office is not particularly well-equipped or particularly responsive to issues that might concern other commissions, let's say. The action of other commissions, I think, is pertinent, and how other commissions, which we may not be represented on, are handling issues that are, there are a lot of housing issues that come before, let's say, the zoning board, for example, that really require full ADA compliance and attentiveness. And I think, if we take a closer look at some of the recordings of zoning board meetings, we could find areas where we are not in ADA compliance. And there has to be a mechanism or a process when, if something happens on one of those commissions, a decision is handed down that seems to be in violation of ADA protection, that there are procedures in place that could be potentially interrogated. And I think that issue of those other commissions and how they, again, because we as a body, we operate independently, we have one liaison with the city council, but these other commissions that are making very important decisions about our city are not particularly well equipped to be informed or be prepared to be in ADA compliance. And I think that puts the city in some legal jeopardy, and it certainly creates problems if there's an issue that comes out of one of those committees, for example. And so just hearing those two checks and balances which you cited, I come to feel that those are insufficient. That doesn't necessarily protect what could happen, let's say, on the zoning board.
I just wanted to add from what Matthew was saying as well. I think just in terms of new construction, I know I'd been in the Blake Transit Center recently, and the bathrooms are not ADA compliant, and there was someone in a wheelchair who couldn't access the bathroom or the sink. So that's a new construction property. So I guess I'm just wondering, like, how those decisions are made, and you know, what some of the trends are that you've seen over time in terms of the ADA compliance.
In terms of ADA compliance with private construction, I'd have to research the issue. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'm not actively engaged in the site plan review process in our community services department, but I'm happy to look into it.
Thank you.
Folks, just for the interest of time, I will have one more comment on this, and then I'm going to make a final remark. But then for the interest of time, we will have to move forward. Go ahead.
I just, when, Mr. Fournier, when you and I talked about this a few months ago, you mentioned that where you came from, Pittsburgh had an ADA coordinator, and you were familiar with the role. I was curious, when I was Googling about the role that this plays in facilitating the federal law, the role that person plays, I was finding levels of training that such a person could have, and I guess I'm wondering if the city's looked into training specific city staff, relevant to what Mr. Solomon was saying about like different departments. That's sort of my whole question.
Yes, the answer to that question is yes, we have. I mentioned that we started with the safety office. You know, we're happy to expand that footprint to other staff as we identify the need. And I'm happy to look into the issues further to see where that need may exist. So, and I will also add that I would not classify this as a conflict of interest because I think it is in our interest to do so.
Great, and I do not mean to cut us off, folks. I think we're on good ground and good footing here with the things that Rachel, Matthew, Elizabeth, everyone has brought up here. What I'd like to state is, first of all, I'd like to thank both Jackie and John for joining us. I hope that both of you can continue to strengthen our relationship in terms of the commission, what we're doing, and then what both of you are doing as well to make sure that the city is ADA compliant and accessible. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We will not hesitate to reach out to you, and I hope that this is not the last time that you guys present. Thank you.
Thank you. We're happy to come back whenever you need. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. All right, next we have a presentation from Miss Lindsay Clark of Best Buddies.
And we do have it on a laptop here.
Oh, great, and we do have the
What, do you want to
presentation.
go up there?
Do we have a,
I think if she speaks to your the screen on your laptop, it'll be
oh,
picked up
yeah, I guess,
on the cameras.
but wouldn't we need to connect the laptop to the,
If we can,
okay.
but
1 second here, folks, we just have to bring up the
I'm-
presentation
yeah.
if we can.
I'm not sure that will show on the other screens, but
It should fill the screen.
I don't know that it'll, because yeah, what I would do is turn it around,
Okay.
and can you speak to
Your
it?
laptop here, go ahead.
Yeah. Because we have closed captioning that's superseding anything from there.
Okay.
So if you can speak, if you can like, when the camera is on you, it should pick up the laptop with the
Okay.
presentation.
Okay. I'm fine. I'll look at it on my phone.
Okay.
Oh, you will need to. I'm sorry. Do you want me to just talk? Maybe I should just talk, and you can
sure.
see the presentation later. I'm sorry that you don't have my slides.
No, and Lindsay,
but-
please know that if you do come back and present again, which we hope that you can, we'll make sure, and I'll make sure that we put the things in place
Yeah, that
to
was
be
my
able
bad.
to show that, okay?
No problem at all.
I forgot
Thank
to
you.
send it until half an hour ago.
Thank you
Oh,
so
okay.
much.
No problem.
Well, I'm happy to be here today. Thank you for having me for a few moments to talk about Best Buddies Michigan. My name is Lindsay Clark, and I am the Director of Development for Best Buddies Michigan. You may have heard of Best Buddies in the past from some of my colleagues who may have presented here to you or in other spaces. Best Buddies is an organization that has been around for 30 years. We are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, and we're very excited to be doing that. But we have just opened a state office here in Michigan as of April of this year. So I am Best Buddies' first employee on the ground in Michigan, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you. And I wasn't expecting applause at this meeting. We're just really excited to get going in Michigan. You may have heard of Best Buddies before because Best Buddies has had programs here in Michigan for the last 25 years. University of Michigan has had a program. Michigan State has had a program. We've got programs in a lot of colleges, but we're looking to get our programs into high schools as well. So, are we,
Tilt it down a little bit, the glare.
so sorry.
There we go.
There we go.
Yay.
All right.
I want to talk a little bit about what Best Buddies is and our various programs, and then I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. And I'm happy to talk about ways that you can get involved as well. So there are a lot of slides here that you may or may not be able to see well, and I'm just going to breeze through them to give you a brief overview of Best Buddies. Best Buddies is the world's largest organization dedicated to ending the social, physical, and economic isolation of the 200 million people in the world with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We started at Georgetown University in a dorm room in 1989 with our friendship programs. And our friendship programs are a one-to-one match between an individual with a developmental or intellectual disability and a neurotypical peer. We are not a mentorship program, we are a friendship program. So we are looking to match people peer to peer in friendship relationships that take place outside of school or work. We started as college programs. We now have programs in middle schools and high schools. We have corporate citizen programs where in a workplace, adults with and without IDDs can get together and have friendship programming. We're really excited about bringing more of these programs to Washtenaw County and to Michigan in general, and really excited to get more of these going this year. We've got, right now in Michigan, there are 11 active programs, but we are seeking to vastly expand that this fall, and we have about 5 to 10 others underway that are looking to open very soon. We also have programs in elementary schools now, but we don't do the one-to-one friendship match. They're more of awareness programs and diversity building and appreciation of difference. After we, I'm going to go off script a little bit here. Best Buddies is on 6 continents. We are actually in 56 countries. This slide is wrong. And we have friendship programs and job programs and ambassador programs across the world. And we are spreading like wildfire, and we're really excited about that. We have state offices in most states now, a presence in most states. As I said, Michigan just opened our state office. So now we are able to provide more programming and more for the citizens of Michigan. I already talked about our first arm of Best Buddies, which is our friendship programs. Our second pillar is our leadership programs. We call this Best Buddies Ambassadors, and these are programs designed to help individuals with developmental intellectual disabilities be able to advocate for themselves and public speak. So we provide opportunities for training for people to learn how to be better public speakers and how to tell their own stories.
We believe at Best Buddies that it's very important for individuals to be able to tell their own story rather than have their story told by someone else. We offer our ambassadors the opportunity to travel. Some of them travel around the world, some of them travel state to state, and some of them are just within their own states, speaking about neurodiversity, about difference, about acceptance, about discrimination, and about neurological difference, and how important it is for all of us to appreciate the things that are different and special about each one of us. That's our ambassadors program. As I said, that takes place across the world. We have some ambassadors right here in Michigan. We have an ambassador training coming up this weekend in Hamtramck, where if you know anyone who might be interested, please give me a shout out after this, and I'd be happy to get that person registered for this training. Our third arm of Best Buddies is our jobs program. We are really excited about being able to offer our jobs program here in Michigan. We have a partnership right now with Kelly Services out of Troy, where we are looking to place individuals with IDD both at Kelly Services and at some of their clients, because their clients have been asking them for more people with neurological difference, which is really exciting. Best Buddies is a proponent of integrated employment. It's very important to us that individuals with disabilities are working in the workplace with neurotypical peers, not off in a room somewhere by themselves, not interacting with other people. We think that's very important. We also think it's very important that people be in a job they're interested in and are excited about and feel good about, and that is something that they are choosing, interviewing for, and then are supported throughout the process by our Best Buddies jobs folks. We have our program here in Michigan at Kelly Services, but we will be expanding that in the next year. That's part of my job here, is to spread awareness and get more people involved so that we're able to open more of our programs and have more integrated employment for individuals with developmental and intellectual disabilities. Our last pillar just began this January. It's Best Buddies Living, and this is an inclusive living program we have piloted on the UCLA campus, where individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities will be living with neurotypical peers. Some of them are in college together, some of them are working in the community. They will be having shared meals and shared workouts, and some of them share places of employment as well. So stay tuned for more on that. It'll be a few years before things like that roll out to Michigan, but as we did more research as an organization and listened to our constituency, we found that people were really interested in inclusive living and what next steps might be, particularly for adults with IDD for whom state services have run out or who are looking for another place to live. So those are the four major pillars of Best Buddies. We have friendships, ambassadors and leadership training, our jobs programs, and inclusive living. And all of this is wrapped into everything that we do at Best Buddies. Here in Michigan, as I said, we're looking to open more programs and to recruit more volunteers. We do 2 major fundraisers a year, so you may have heard of us. We did a friendship walk this past April. We will have another one at Washtenaw Community College this next April. And our big push this fall is our Champion of the Year Gala, which is taking place at the Gem Theater in Detroit on November 8th. And you are all invited and welcome to attend. It's a friendly fundraising competition between now 13 members of the community who have signed up to spread awareness and raise funds on Best Buddies' behalf for this exciting inaugural event. So we're really thrilled to be here in Michigan. We're eager to be a partner to you in any way that we can, to answer any questions that we can. If you have people that you know of who would love to volunteer for an organization like this, we would love to talk to you more. And I'm just really pleased to be here today. I'd be happy to take your questions.
Well, thank you so much. I just want to say really quick before we get into questions, Lindsay, I do appreciate you being here. And we hope that, down the line, as you guys continue to expand here in Michigan, that you can always reach out to the commission and use it as a positive platform for what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see a
Questions?
hand.
I have a question. How is it funded?
That is a great question. So Best Buddies, we consider ourselves truly a grassroots volunteer-run organization. Our volunteers do most of the work, which I probably shouldn't tell you as an employee, but our volunteers work really hard to spread awareness and to help us run all of our programs. So we have a lot of volunteer support. As far as funding goes, we do look for grants and in and around the community. Some of them are larger, national grants, but right now there were some funding cuts in the 90s that have made it difficult for us to receive as much government funding as we used to, or any at all. So a lot of grant funding and a lot of just on-the-ground fundraising through these fundraisers. Best Buddies found over the years that having 2 major fundraisers a year was about what any state or market could support. So we will be continuing to do this gala every fall now that we're starting this in November, and we'll continue to have a walk in the spring. But private donations do help keep us afloat, as well as these fundraisers and some local grants.
Are you on a website that you can donate to?
We are, yes.
Okay,
And I'd be happy to send you information for that as well.
okay.
All right, and Kathleen had a question?
I do. So I have a couple of real quick ones.
Sure.
So you're on campus, so you're for the whole of Michigan, or are you just for the college?
That's a great question. I am for the whole of Michigan. I am located right here in Ann Arbor. We've got our employment consultant who is working out of Troy, out of Kelly Services offices, but right now she's exclusively devoted to that partnership. As we expand, I will look to hire some people who can help manage the programs at the schools in Michigan, as well as manage more jobs programs so that we can open more of those up.
And so if a member of the public or the student population is interested in volunteering for you, is their best bet just to go to their website for now? Can you offer that to us?
That's great. The website is bestbuddies.org, and then you would do /Michigan to find us. And that's how anyone can get involved with us. There's a button right on there where you can input your email address and sign up right now. You can actually also on that website sign up for eBuddies, which is our pen pal match network, which is a one-to-one match between a neurotypical peer and someone with a disability who lives in another state. So that's something anyone can get involved with at any moment in time. Everyone could go home tonight and do it. Our school programs, there's a little bit more structure with how we do the matching and how you get involved. But if a student were to want to get involved or someone were to want to get involved in our friendship programs, I would be the best first contact for that, and I'd be happy to get your information to the appropriate person who runs the friendship program you might want to be a part of. If someone's looking to volunteer or be part of our gala or our upcoming walks or help with our ambassador trainings, I would also be the person that they would approach. And I'd be happy to direct you there too as
So-
well.
Thanks. Can you elaborate on the gala on November 8th?
I would
Talk
love
about
to.
the theme and the programming and what people can expect and
Sure.
which website they go to if they want to attend. Is it the same one that you just mentioned?
Yes.
And if it is, can you repeat it?
I would love to do that. The website for the Champion of the Year event is bestbuddieschampion.org/Michigan. I know that's a mouthful. bestbuddieschampion.org/Michigan. If you just go to bestbuddieschampion.org, you will be able to select Michigan from a pick list format. Our gala, this is our inaugural gala. Best Buddies does this gala in a whole bunch of other states, and it's been a lot of fun and a great success. So what we do is we nominate members of the community who have been champions for inclusion. And that can be absolutely anyone. It could be a business owner, it could be a stay-at-home mom, it could be a preschool teacher, it could be a college student. And we actually have a number of college students as champions this year. And those people, the only thing they have to do is believe in the mission and vision of Best Buddies and to spread awareness about that while also trying to raise $5,000 on behalf of Best Buddies. All of the money that we raise at this gala goes directly back to the programs we put on here in Michigan. So more ambassador trainings, more jobs programs, more friendship programs, more leadership development, both for our ambassadors and for the students who run our school programs. The event is a Roaring Twenties Gatsby theme. It is at the Gem Theater in Detroit on November 8th. It's going to be a night of fun and celebration and inclusion for all. That event space is accessible, of course. We are going to have entertainment from some of our global ambassadors. We have 2 people coming from other states who sing and perform. And I've seen them perform, and they're amazing. And so they'll be here. We'll have ambassadors speaking about their experience with Best Buddies and the power and importance of inclusion. One of our jobs placement participants at Kelly Services is going to speak about her experience working with Best Buddies Jobs and having a job with Best Buddies. We have an honoree that we will be honoring who helped raise the seed money that allowed us to open an office here in Michigan. And we will have at least one pair of buddies from a local college chapter talking about their experience. So that's a neurotypical peer and then a person with a disability talking about their friendship and experience in a Best Buddies friendship program. And there will be more entertainment and awards, and then at the end of the night, someone will be crowned Grand Champion of the Year, and we will celebrate that. There will be silent and live auctions with some really amazing items, and we're just really excited about it. We'd love to have anyone's involvement who wants to come. As I said, tickets and tables are on sale right now. They are on that website, bestbuddieschampion.org/Michigan, and you can check out who our champions are. Right before I came here, someone else just signed up, so look at the website later tonight and I'll have it updated with all of the people who are involved. But you can read a little bit about each one of those champions and why Best Buddies is important to them. Yes.
Wonderful.
Hey, yeah, thanks. Thanks for that information. So I just wanted to touch base about some of the school chapters that you're referring to. I wasn't sure if you were in any local colleges here, but it sounds like you are at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So which ones are those, and where are you looking to expand in general?
That's a great question, thank you. We are looking to expand to any school that wants to have a Best Buddies chapter. And school programs can open in a variety of ways. Often at the college level, it's because a college student has heard about Best Buddies and wants to open a college chapter. I just got a call the other day from somebody at Washtenaw Community College who'd heard about our programming and had been involved in a connecting program in high school and wanted to open a chapter at WCC. So we are looking to do that, very, very soon. We do have a presence here in Michigan. We're at MSU. We are at Northern Michigan University. We are, is that your alma mater?
I went there.
All right. We're at U of M. U of M's had a program for a very long time, so it's a really robust program here. We are, this is like a quiz, where I'm talking to someone at Hope about opening a chapter at Hope. Community High School is starting a chapter here in Ann Arbor. We are talking to Skyline High School as well. We've been trying to make some inroads at Huron and Pioneer. We'd love to be in any high school, middle school, college that we possibly can. We'll look a little bit farther down the road for our elementary school programs. There is a list on bestbuddies.org/Michigan of all of our Michigan schools. We are also at Grand Valley State. We've got 11 schools, and I'm just going to not remember them all, so forgive me. But we're mostly in universities right now, and we would love to be in high schools and have the involvement of families and parents in the general community.
Wonderful. Well, for the interest of time, I'm so sorry.
Sure.
I do have to keep us going. But Lindsay, thank you so much again
Thank
for
you.
your time and presenting. And hopefully we'll see you here again. And I encourage the commission to check out that event on November 8th. Sounds amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, next. Well, I don't see her, Sally, in the crowd.
Katie?
Katie Monkevich?
She's
Yeah.
right there.
Oh, hi. You're hiding. You're hiding from me, Katie. Okay. Pardon me. So next we have Katie Monkevich from the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I am going to pass out our September events brochure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Sorry, I just didn't see you.
She's way in the back.
All right, well, thanks for having me back. I'm just going to talk about a few materials and then some programs. The materials that I'm going to talk about today, I grabbed from my favorite space in the library, the Express Shelf, where I can find all of our most popular titles. And so I picked out some titles that I've been hearing a lot about or that I've I've liked recently. These are all available from the Ann Arbor District Library or through the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled, or on BARD, the Braille and Audio Reading Download System. So the first one that I picked is called What the Eyes Don't See, A Story of Crisis, Resistance, and Hope in an American City. This is by Mona Hannah Atisha. This is of local interest. So if you're interested in what's going on with Flint and their water, that's what this book is about. In 2014, when the state of Michigan shifted the source of its water supply to the Flint River, citizens began complaining about the water quality. After initially believing state officials, the author, who's a pediatrician, soon realized that she needed undeniable proof to stop the lead poisoning, and she details this fight of her life in this book. The next book that I chose is called The Island of Sea Women by a very popular author, Lisa See. She writes historical fiction. This book is much like her other books, a very good historical fiction book. I found this one to be really interesting because of the way that she talks about these female divers who hold their breaths for just like an incredible amount of time, and that's something that actually was a thing. So that was kind of cool to read about. Here's the blurb. Mija and Jan Suk are best friends, even though their backgrounds are markedly different. When they come of age, they join their village's all-female diving collective, which is run by young Suk's mother. However, Mija's parentage marks her for scorn and drives the friends apart as war looms. And then the final book that I picked today is on my to-reads list, so I haven't read it yet, but I am looking forward to reading it. It's called Heartland, a memoir of working hard and being broke in the richest country on earth. The author recounts her childhood among the working poor in Kansas, discusses the class divide in America, myths about poverty, and the impact of intergenerational poverty on individuals, families, and communities. So I'll be looking at that one soon. So I want to take your attention to our September events brochure from the Ann Arbor District Library. You all have seen these and may notice that this one is a little bit different than the ones that I've passed out in the past. We've made a slight change to our events brochure in that these include now both adult and events for teens. So we're finding that our teens were having to carry around 2 brochures because they like the adult events as well. So one brochure. Another difference that you'll find is that rather than being more like a calendar, things are divided up into types of events. So if you turn to page 4, there's like a food and drink section, which would be where I would gravitate towards. and that way I can see all the food and drink events that are upcoming at the library. If you like that calendar view better, the website has stayed the same. So we've got a nice little calendar view on aadl.org. There's a couple of events still coming up in September that I wanted to tell you about. The first one you can find in the Arts and Crafts section. It's called Meditative Drawing. That will be on Friday, September 20th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at our Malletts Creek branch. This is for people who find beauty in unexpected objects or find yourself doodling on the edges of paper. You do not need to have any kind of drawing skill for this, but you should join us for meditative drawing and learn drawing patterns and techniques for mindful doodling and we'll also create your own bookmark. So that should be fun. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is in the health and nature section. It's called Exploring the Mind, Understanding Memory, How It Works, and How to Improve It. We're going to be having Professor Thad A. Polk come talk to us about the psychological and neural mechanisms that underlie our amazing ability to remember, including a discussion on the ways to maximize our memory by applying techniques that have been scientifically demonstrated to improve retention. And then the last event that I want to mention is in the health and nature section as well, and that is How to End Poverty and Save the Planet. And that is Thursday, September 26th, 7 to 8:30 p.m., downtown library in our 4th floor meeting room. We're going to be learning about the Appropriate Technology Collaborative, or the ATC. They've been working to eradicate poverty in Guatemala for over a decade. The ATC works collaboratively with local engineers, designers, and tradespeople to create new technologies and green jobs that provide opportunity and dignity for the rural poor. ATC founder John Barry will present the Mayan Power Light Project, which recently won their Energy Globe Award for Sustainability, which is today's most prestigious environmental prize for climate change solutions. So I hope you can join us for any of those or any of the other events that we have coming up. As always, we invite people to contact us at the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled at the Ann Arbor District Library. Our email is wlbpd@aadl.org. Phone number is 734-327-4224, and you can find us on the web at wlbpd.aadl.org. Does anyone have any questions for me today?
What was the first book you had mentioned?
That one is called What the Eyes Don't See. It's a story of crisis, resistance, and hope in an American city.
Thank you.
That's by Mona Hannah Atisha. Anybody else? All
No,
right,
thank you so much, Katie. We
Not even
appreciate
me,
it.
Katie.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we would have Alex Gossage. Is Alex here? I don't think so. So we won't have Alex today, but hopefully we can have him next week present for the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living. Next, we have public comments. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to give comments at this time? Doesn't look like we have anyone, so we'll move forward. All right. Okay, under old business, we have the city personnel report. Corey Ferris is not with us, but we do wish him the best, and we will be seeing him back here at our next meeting, folks. So thank you to Corey for putting our agenda together and continuing to be a great asset to the commission. All right. Moving down the line, we now have the chair report. So I will give that. First, I wanted to give a quick recap to the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living Gala Summer Picnic, which was held on July 26th. I did have an opportunity to attend and represent myself as well as the commission. And I have to say, guys, it was a perfect day, really not a cloud in the sky. They had Pilar's Tamales as well as some other ventures there, and it was just very well attended. They did a great job. So hopefully we can all attend that next year. And to Alex, Tom Holtland, and everyone who was involved with organizing that event, thank you for that. And they did a great job. All right. Next, I did want to state that we still do need a new Partners in Access Committee chair, and so we still need to select someone for that. So if there is anyone that is interested, please feel free to email me and express your interest on that, and we can sort of go ahead and then at the next meeting sort of talk about that and appoint them. But I think to be able to make that committee relevant, there needs to be a chair that can set things up. Larry, you have a question?
Nope, I was thinking about doing that, that's how we ended up in June, but I haven't done anything over the summer.
No problem. Yep, no problem.
So we'll keep that in mind, and if somebody else wants it, they can have it.
Right, right. But definitely, guys, I just wanted to make, let you guys know of that, but that's still something that we're looking to fill at this time. All right. Okay, so now, I do want to also point out too, that I would like maybe a subcommittee that would be interested to review. We did talk about through email with Tim and Sally and I that, I reviewed a little bit of the HB 4738 as well as the White Cane Law, and that is the law. I don't know if you guys remember us speaking about it a little bit, but it's the crosswalk ordinance, right? And it has writing in there that talks about basically how a person needs to sort of signal or make a car aware that they're going to cross by stepping into an area to let the car know that it needs to slow down. Now, of course, I personally think that, that's not necessarily sufficient for a person that is in a wheelchair or has a mobility aid, which is not able to do so. So I wanted to put out there that I think, it would be beneficial for all of us to be able to review the HB 473 crosswalk ordinance, and then upon us reviewing that, just kind of make some notes or some bullet points that we can then talk about in October, that what we think could be sort of rewritten or revised, if you will. And then from there, just kind of go about the process of maybe just drafting a letter of support in the fact that we think that it does need to be rewritten and revised. Of course, that is a long process, and there are different things that need to be talked about in order to do that. But I think that it's something that needs to be done. Go ahead, Larry.
What is what is the number of it again?
Yeah, so it's called HB 4738.
And is it state or?
State, yeah.
Yes, it's
It's
state.
state.
It's the
Yes,
State House.
yes, it's the State House.
Well, good luck
And of
changing
course,
that.
I understand that, we are a commission within the city, and of course, state and city law do differ. However, folks, I do think that our voice as a commission with the city of Ann Arbor and what we're able to accomplish in terms of persistent action, but also being very diplomatic, I think in the long run can make a good difference. So I just encourage us to be aware of that and then possibly take some action as well. And of course, on this note, I did get an email because I was hoping that we could get Griswold to present, as well as Rep. Peterson to speak, maybe in the October meeting as well, once we've sort of reviewed this a little bit more, and also Erica as well. And I did get a reply from Erica Briggs, and she said that she would be happy to come and speak at the October meeting, and of course said that Rep. Peterson would like to receive our input and has been very open in discussing it. So there's an opportunity to make some revision before it goes to committee for the state. And if we, as a commission with the city of Ann Arbor, would like to get behind that and sort of support, I think that would be great. So that's all I have for the HB 473. Now I'd also like to move on for updates about some things that we had talked about in June, because I know that we've had a summer break. So in June, we talked about some concern about the Amtrak platform and sort of getting behind making sure that that was sort of upkept, and that also we would draft possibly a letter of support in the Amtrak platform. So I was wondering if this is still a concern for the commission, and if there is someone in the commission or someone on a subcommittee of the commission that still wanted to support this and help draft a letter of support for the Amtrak elevated platform. Again, we're concerned about the upkeeping, maintaining of the universally designed platform, and of course, the Council on Disability Concerns also chimed in to us and was wondering if we would also be in support of that. So I just wanted to know, is this something that we still want to move on? Or is this something that, that is no longer on our radar? Kathleen?
I think it's something that's still important. I would be interested in contacting Anna Schnitzer and seeing what she may know with regards to where they're actually at with this process. And then I could bring that information to the council next meeting,
Okay.
if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I can definitely contact Anna, be in contact with her, and of course include you in that. And then if you don't mind, just talking about that with the council, and then kind of seeing where they are with that and how we can help them and assist, I think that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Larry, you have a question?
Does the city dictate that, or is that an Amtrak thing, or does the city dictate that?
You know, that's a good question, Larry. I'm not specific on who is responsible for the upkeep. Do you know anything about that?
It's been so long, honestly, I have that filed in the back of my brain, but that would be one of the things that I would discuss with Anna. I just know that it was a local architect that helped design that platform, and I believe it was from the University of Michigan. And that's how the conversation got started. As to who's responsible, who owns the property versus, you know, I don't know if Amtrak owns the property or the city leases it to Amtrak. I'm very unclear on that as to who the actual responsible body is. But even if it's just Amtrak that's responsible and not the city, I still think we have an obligation to our citizens to make sure that that platform is available to all persons who either use a mobility aid or have mobility issues. Just because you're
Right.
not in a wheelchair or
Agreed.
don't use a walker doesn't mean that you may not have mobility issues and still need a platform. So I think it's just really important for our citizens, our visitors, and everyone to make sure that it's in good repair and that we understand where we're at with this.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kathleen. And I agree with you. I think this is something, folks, that, you know, we should be proactive about. And again, I'll be in touch with you and Anna about that. And then whoever else wants to be involved, please let me know, and I can include them in the communication about that as well.
We'll be filling the new PIA agenda.
What's that, Larry?
I said, well, when we get the PIA committee reformed, we'll be filling its agenda before we, yeah.
That's right. All right. And as far as the chair report, that is all that I have. But what I will do, again, just circling back to the HB 4738, I'll also make sure that we can get a copy of that somehow so that all of us can review that and just sort of know the language that I'm talking about in terms of it's stating that someone has to sort of step out into that crosswalk in order for a car to slow down. Okay? All right.
My understanding is it hasn't gone through yet, but we're trying to make sure it goes through correctly.
Right. Got it. Thank you. All right. That is all that I have for the chair report. Moving forward, we have Community Engagement Committee and Ann Arbor Inclusive Update with Rachel Hawkins.
Okay, so there's been a lot of movement on the sensory garden this summer. I don't have a current update on the August 21st taping that they were having for their next Ann Arbor Inclusive shows. So I'm going to be following up with our contact there because usually they give us an email or something before this meeting. So I'm going to follow up and see
Okay.
what new information we have before October.
Yeah, and of course you've been in contact with, you know, Linda and Tom and stuff of Ann Arbor Inclusive. You know, I'm curious, guys, because I find myself trying to, you know, follow up with you and them to get a report. But I'm curious to the commission, you know, what do you guys feel would be, I guess, a better way to make sure that they're in contact with us? Because, you know, it doesn't seem that they're very present. You know, I know that they're doing the show, and it's a great show, but I want to make sure that we're well informed on, you know, the kind of content that they're bringing in, as well as when the next episodes are, so that we can all watch it. And so I wanted to ask maybe some suggestions from some of you, you know, whether they come to a meeting once a year or once a month or something and check in, or what would be a better method that could work. Larry?
Yeah, whoever sets them up, like the Center for Independent Living, they just come by and tell us what they're doing that month. Just like any other, you know, the standard people, like we got Katie and we got Sophie when she's in, or Alex when he's in. Just have a standing thing for the month where they tell us what they're gonna do.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I did present that actually when they auditioned a new host for the show, that they could be sort of, you know, a standing presentation on the agenda. However, I did not really get a response back in terms of whether either of them were able to commit to do that. So I'm not sure if time is a factor for them or schedule or both, but I can definitely look into that. Thank you, Larry. Kathleen?
I was just going to suggest if time is a factor, because aren't they basically volunteers doing this? So maybe they could report once a quarter versus every month, so that it would help encourage participation and cooperation.
All right, yeah, thank you. I will suggest that to you, Rachel, and also communicate with you and Linda and Tom on that, okay?
That sounds great, thank you.
Great. All right, was there anything else for community engagement or Ann Arbor Inclusive?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next, we have Partners in Access, but there is no chair for that at this time.
Not as of yet.
So we'll move forward. Now, we have recruiting activity and Larry Keeler.
That would be me. I didn't do anything over the summer. I didn't hear anything over the summer, but as requested, I attempted to go up and check on your the suggestions for the possibility of new appointees coming up, and I found out that City Hall has a new system. So I get to floor 3, they won't let me out. So I go back down there, and I get back up there, and if I finally go back down, oh, you need a pass. So I called up, and the result was the desk called up, and the mayor's secretary is out for the afternoon. So I will
Okay.
email her or catch up with her, but I knew that for a couple of months, the City Hall was not really putting applications on the floor. So I'll find out if they've reopened and started that again as soon as I can. I'll email Christine when I get home.
Awesome.
And that's it.
How many openings are there on this board?
I think there's just one right now, is that
Just
correct,
one,
Larry?
okay.
Yep.
I think so. Oh, yeah, and you can,
Yeah, because just in the last year, the database of applicants to boards and commissions has been opened up to city council, so I can actually peek in there and see how many people have applied as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh, that would be
Larry,
great.
do you peek in on that? Do you have access to that?
I have to see if I do. Which one is it?
It's on Granicus. I have like a website access, like a sign-in.
Oh, you could send me the link to it.
Well, I could send, you know what, I'll look it up and maybe I can send you the names of the people. I don't
You
know if
can do
that's,
that, too.
I mean, I'll have to find out if I'm like violating some confidentiality, something that probably wouldn't be wise for me to do that.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't be. But
I could
we
tell you
check
how
it.
many people, or maybe.
I always know exactly who's doing it when I go upstairs, but
Oh, okay, cool, all right.
I have not been up there, but I should, if I don't email, I'll stop in the next couple of days, run through downtown often enough.
Great. Well, thank you, Larry, for all your work. And do you mind just saying that if people are interested in joining the commission, how can they get in touch with us?
Oh, yeah, that's right, A2disabilityissues at gmail.com, or the better way is to call the mayor's office at 794-6161, and you can request an application from there, or you can get it online at, what is that, Boards and Applications.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Larry. Moving on, we have the Transportation Commission update from Mr. Tim Hall.
Hi, yeah, so despite us not meeting over the summer, the Transportation Commission did meet and took up a number of things. I guess the most notable is we did debate and discuss the road diets that were proposed. We had discussed them and originally thought approved them, saying that we thought they were a good thing, and the city council kicked them back to us with with the public feedback that was generated from the survey. We reviewed that and ended up reaching the same conclusion. It seemed like some of the feedback was in fact addressed. Some of it was just like, fix the roads, period. And some of it was, In general, city council ended up only approving one of those three in the end after debating this through a few meetings. But the other thing we did discuss was HB 4738. We passed a resolution actually opposing it in its current form, saying because for one reason is that as written, it could preempt the local law and mean that it could no longer be enforced, and thus people would have to step out into the crosswalk.
Right.
And they hadn't talked about any changes to the white cane law yet at that point, though
Okay.
we were still concerned about any people besides just people in wheelchairs. There's given that others can have mobility impairments and not necessarily be diagnosed or something. And
Sure.
Yeah, but, so we passed that, and, yeah, the road diets came up, and, yeah, we're having a meeting tonight, so, yeah, I mean,
Great, thank you, Tim. And as far as the roads are concerned, is it more about usage, and as far as priority goes with that?
yeah,
Like what-
it's more like they're talking about reducing lanes to like slow down traffic and improve safety, though there's been concerns that perhaps they're reducing them too much, or
Okay.
that like there could be more accidents because of it. That was raised by some on council.
Sure,
Oh, the other thing is, there has been some discussion about construction impacts to like, walk and bike, like pedestrian and bike access to roads, like how sometimes they will close it off and make you go to the other side and
Right.
things like that. And
Yeah, that's pain.
we've been having some discussion about that, because that can definitely be a major issue if you have to go way out of your way. And
right, understood.
And the other thing, the Washtenaw and Pittsfield crosswalk, there's progress there.
Ugh.
I don't know if, I know that they've already painted the lines and put the signals up, but last I heard, they were still waiting on some parts to get the signals actually active. I
Okay.
don't know if there's been an update since then, I'll see tonight, but it's definitely moving and
Okay.
should be done soon.
I hate that crosswalk.
Great, thank you, Tim, I appreciate it. Larry Keeler, you have a question?
Yeah, the question I have, now this is the second time I heard it come up. What's the issue with the white cane law, part of that? Where does that fit into the,
Well, it's that you're required to yield the right of way if someone's holding a white cane, but
Yeah.
currently, right now, only blind people are allowed to have a white cane. And the idea was to amend that to allow people in wheelchairs to also do that as part of this
oh, yeah,
HB4.
okay, I get that.
I
'cause
mean,
know
which would be good, but at the same point, it still is an issue if they pass this law and it preempts the local law that anyone who's not in a wheelchair or blind would have to step out into the road.
We don't have to step, I get it. You don't have to step out in the road, you just have to signal somehow, but yeah.
All right,
But they can be misconstrued.
Well- well, thank you so much, Tim, for that update. All right, moving forward, we have UM Council for Disability Concerns meeting update, Kathleen Mozak-Betts.
Thank you. I just want to say I enjoy being your liaison to the council. I am just a liaison. I am not a working member, so they do really good works, and I will continue to be your liaison for the next year. Good news, the University of Michigan Athletic Department has already set the date for the 2020 U of M Army-Navy wheelchair basketball game. It's been 15 years since the first game was established, and the game will take place on Saturday, March 28th at 3 p.m. tip-off, and that is always at Chrysler Arena. There's going to be some exciting, the U of M dance team will be there, the 338th U.S. Army Band will play, the U of M Glee Club will sing, they're always fun, and the U of M cheer team will perform, and DJ L will also entertain with music. Everyone is welcome, it is a free event, and it is accessible. In the interest of time, I will discuss the big issue coming up in October, which is Disability Community Month. It used to be known by the University of Michigan Council for Disability Concerns as a series of events under Investing in Abilities, but we wanted to raise more, we wanted to kind of claim back the name disability, use it as it was intended, and make it, investing in ability could sometimes be ambiguous at best, where disability is very clear. There are going to be over a dozen events this month. All events are free, locations are accessible, and everyone is welcome. If you need disability accommodations to attend or to participate, please contact disability@umich.edu at least 48 hours in advance. It's sponsored in part by the University of Michigan Council for Disability Concerns, University Human Resources, Michigan Medicine, and the University Health Service. You can learn more about these events at the cfdc.umich.edu/DCM. So I'll just touch on a couple of, it's going to kick off on October 2nd from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Hatcher Graduate Library. Unintended consequences, it will be a panel discussion on the impact of the opioid crisis, messaging on those who have chronic pain, how this is really impacting persons that are having a really tough time dealing with
Sure.
what's going on. There is also going to be one of the most exciting events, October 11th, from 11 until 1, Dogs on the Diag. Assistance and therapy dogs and dogs in training, and that is outside the Hatcher Graduate Library. It's always a lot of fun. There are lots of dogs. They love to be petted. The trainers and the handlers are very good at engaging with the public, and it's a really fun event. So I encourage, if you can go, for you to attend that.
And bring our dogs too. Holly's getting old, but I think she'd like that.
And so there is also the James T. Newbacher Award Ceremony. They will be handing out certificates of appreciation. That is October 25th from 9:30 a.m. until 11:45 a.m. at Rackham Assembly. And everyone is welcome to attend that. And then finally, it ends on October 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's called a Superfest Film Festival Showcase, and that will be at the UMMA Auditorium.
Wonderful.
What
Wow.
day are the dogs again?
Pardon?
What day is the dog one?
The Dogs on the Diag is October 11th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
All right, is that a Saturday? I can't remember.
We can look it up, I suppose.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, for that. I do appreciate it. All right. Moving on, are there any other additional announcements today that anyone would like to put forward at this time? No? Okay. Is there any new business that anyone would like to discuss?
It's Thursday.
All right. Well, with that, the meeting is adjourned. I would like to thank everyone who joined our meeting this afternoon for the Commission on Disability Issues for September 18th, 2019. I am Zach Damon. Thank you so much, and we will see you next month.